Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. It's been a minute, but I'm glad to be back because, as we know, the international break is drawing to a close. Finally! Honestly, you look forward to a break and then it's like, right, what can I talk about now? You know what I mean? I need to feed. I need to eat. What am I going to do? But listen, I'm not in the job for making content for the sake of making content. There's no there. But today, as the international break has drawn to a close, we have got a look at Glenn Kamara and, of course, Ilya Gruyev. And I just wanted to have a discussion about how we expect this new look midfield to look like. Because I think we could change to a 3. There's so many different permutations. So I want you to join me along on this ride. You do that by smashing a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. Do you know what as well? Actually, I lost 10 subscribers after my Angus Kinnear interview, which I'm cool with, because it's like, if you don't agree with me, that's fine. Leave. I was like, really? That must oppress them 10 people. But listen, if you can't handle the heat, you've got to get out of the kitchen, right?
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Anyway, enough of that. It's all love. Let's get into it.
I don't care.
Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened, as I said it would. People will be... Oh, when have we got Leeds? Yeah, look, folks, we look like now we've got through the international break unscathed. We've only really got Ethan Ampadu and Joe Rodon who will play tonight. And then, yeah, it's all good. And listen, I want to talk about Ilya Gruyev. Obviously, we did a watch-along earlier in the week on the channel. He was played left of a back 3. What I will say for Ilya Gruyev, in terms of his on-ball ability, technically sound. Passer of the ball, great. His teammates need to learn to give him the ball more often because they'll actually get into midfield much quicker, because every time he did get the ball, he always fizzed it into the striker or the number 10, and then they would create an attack. But the facts are Bulgaria are not great. They haven't won a game of football for a long time. They even lost yesterday 2-1 in the last minute against 10 men of Montenegro, for Christ's sake. Do you know what I mean? This is what we're dealing with. I did win some money though, I can't lie. I backed Montenegro because after I found out Bulgaria's stats the other day, I was like, yo, these guys don't win a game of football. Maybe they're missing Dimitar Berbatov. But listen, he's tripe as well because he costs less than Becchio, and Becchio scores more goals. But look, the big difference in the loss to Montenegro as opposed to the one in Iran is that Ilya Gruyev played in midfield. He played in a midfield too, and according to SofaScore, was the highest rated player on his team. And look, my good friend, scout extraordinaire, analytic master, Lockie actually watched the game. But Lockie said, look, Gruyev played really, really well. And the stats back that up. And like I'd said after watching him at centre-back, Lockie said the team struggled to get the ball to him, like funnel it to him. Even when the passes on, they were seeming to negate it and just going long. I mean, the game against Iran was terrible. But ultimately, when he picks up that ball, he's very calm, composed, and can pass the ball. Someone actually came for me on Twitter and said, oh, is this the standards of this football club that will lauding someone who can pass the ball? But there's levels to passing, right? Like, I can pass a ball 5 yards, but can you do it in a way that's got zip, that's got a bit of curl? You know, there's a way in which you pass the ball. And Gruyev, whenever he has the ball at his feet, he caresses it for me. I give it the caress. He just looks a really good passer of the ball, and someone that when picking the ball up from deep will be calm and composed in the championship and will look to create attacks for Leeds United. And of course, Glenn Kamara was also involved for Finland. He didn't play in that first game, didn't start anyway. Obviously, he's had no pre-season, but came on late in the game, which they won 1-0 against Kazakhstan. And he was actually involved in the goal with a hockey assist, the pass before the assist before the assist, if you like, the pre-assist, as my good friend Oscar Mario used to say. He looks really, really good on the ball. His dribbling ability, he's got the physical capabilities to be able to deal with the championship. Ain't no worries there. And of course, he's experienced playing in, you know, European finals. That's no joke. But look, against Denmark, it was, you know, it was a much tougher afternoon for Glenn Kamara. He played full 90 minutes. This is the positives we have to take for me now. Both Gruyev and Kamara, with some more training at Leeds United, can be called upon much earlier, because the one criticism I'll have a Farker up to this day is the number of subs, the time in which is used, and whether or not that's due to not having enough belief in those that are on the bench. That has to change now because Gruyev and Kamara have had minutes, will be at a level, which means they can either start games or at least come on early in the 10, 15 minutes that, Kamara might have got the other day. He did play on the left. If you look at his heat map as well, a lot of his attacks, even when playing midfield, came down that left-hand side. So it's going to be interesting to see where Glenn Kamara is going to fit in. And I wanted to have a chat about this midfield and how I expect it to look. So, folks, what I wanted to do is just look at some different iterations of a midfield that we could potentially play now that we know Kamara and Gruyev are going to be involved. Now, the first one here that I'm going to show is, of course, the most likely setup that we're going to see against Millwall. The only real change in there, of course, is Junior Firpo left back. I think Daniel Farker, I said before the window shut that he's a big fan of his, and ultimately, with Ampadu being able to fill in beside him, it'll enable both him and Spence to get forward. But I don't want to see Pirot in a 10. And I also want to see a little bit of invention in midfield. You brought in Kamara and Gruyev for me to be starters. Now, the next lineups that we're going to look at have omitted Gray from them. Okay, not because I don't rate Gray, not because I want Gray to be dropped, but these lads have been brought in because Gray's 17-year-old. And, his minutes need to be managed. There will be games where he will come in, of course, but we do need experience in there. Gray's not done anything wrong. I think that's part of the reason that he's not gone on international duty, because he wants to make sure he hones down his place. And listen, if you're good enough, you're old enough. It doesn't really matter, but, his minutes do need to be managed, because you've only to look at Sam Byram, Lewis Cook, etc., just Leeds players, in isolation to show that too many minutes at such a young age can break you. Now, this is the first one I wanted to bring up, and it's a midfield two, a double pivot, if you like, of Ilya Gruyev and Ethan Ampadu. I do think that Somerville can play in central spaces. I prefer Rutter to come out. This is probably my preferred lineup for Saturday. I'd like to see Gruyev and Ampadu in midfield. I just think it offers us so much balance. I think it will enable both fullbacks to get forward. I want to see Jayden Anthony start. He's already done it at this level, and again will give more balance to what we've seen in the three behind the attacker. You can see I've got Joel Pirot leading the line. Whenever I've seen Somerville out of the majority of the wingers pop up in central spaces, I've liked his combination play between that front man, the little 1-2s, and it enables him to get through tight spaces. I think if anyone out of the wingers, because we didn't buy a 10, he's probably the most apt at that position. Maybe some would say Poveda, but my thoughts on Jan Poveda. Look, probably what I would go with for the weekend. Moving on slightly, could we see something different? Will we see different iterations of this midfield? For example, could we see two up front? Could we see two up front with Joel Pirot and Gio Rutter, or maybe Joel Pirot and Bamford? Maybe them two could, create a partnership that could be lethal. Who knows? Somerville again in the 10 again. Had we have had, say, Amiri, maybe this would be more wrapped. A midfield three of Gruyev, Ampadu and Kamara offers real solidity. We know that Kamara can play deeper, but predominantly when he is tasked with carrying the ball from midfield, he does tend to play on the left side. What do you think to that as an iteration in midfield, to have an out-and-out number 10 with two ahead of him? I haven't put Bamford in this lineup because obviously he's not fit, but I do envisage Bamford will get minutes, as much as that will hammer the Bamford haters. Could we see a 4-3-2-1 with two centre forwards, if you like? Again, it's just that midfield three. I'm just thinking of different iterations ahead of that. I know Daniel Farker predominantly plays a 4-2-3-1, but this is, different things that I've cooked up. Which of these midfield iterations will work, and could they work? And I'm going to finish up with the 4-2-3-1 with Kamara in the 10. Now, I know he's not a number 10, and as I've said before, he likes to drift out to the left. That's where he's predominantly played, but that could offer fluidity for others to come inside. I have put Jayden Anthony of the left of the three in front of two sitting in Gruyev and Ampadu. I think if we were to go with the 4-2-3-1, I think this should be tried. And the reason I say that is, there's method to my madness. I know Kamara isn't a 10. Having heard what Daniel Farker mentioned about his dribbling ability, He's always good at playing the final pass.
A bit more like box to box. Len also with his capability to drive with the ball, to find finishing pass.
We've seen him do that a little bit for Finland, and he did continue his run as well. So if you see that goal that Finland scored against Kazakhstan, he fires it in and continues his run. When the pass is played through, though, it goes through to Ant-Man, but it could have easily gone through to Kamara had he continued his run, but Ant-Man was there. So could he play in that 10? Is that a position that Daniel Farke's picked him for? We know that he wanted Amiri. Could have, but can he see a world in which Kamara can play that role? Because there was a late night Leeds episode where Andrea went through Mönchengladbach's midfield, went through Norwich's midfield, and there was two sitting, and then this box-to-box midfielder. Could that be Kamara? And just hearing what Daniel Farke had said, it could well be the case. Out of the 4 different iterations that I have put together, I want you to tell me in the pinned comment which is your favourite iteration. 1, 2, 3, 4. And look, if you see something totally different and think I'm mad as a box of frogs, let me know your preferred starting lineup. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Smash a like if you can. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace out.